Francis Ngannou had a similar opinion to the one that Dean Thomas laid out, which had to do, and Francis was speaking from a point of robberies. That was an actual word that he used. But what he's talking about is when a fighter goes into a match and he's getting incentivized, he's getting paid to show up, but he's getting paid again to win. He should have won, and they take it from him. What do we do? Now, the champ brings up a great point. The problem with this, and this is a day-old question, Francis is the first one to notice this. The problem is, what is the suggestion? Francis didn't offer one. I have the same problem as Francis has got. I also can't offer you a suggestion. But what do? You've got your contracts. This is the way the sport works. You want to incentivize a guy for good work, right? That's what we do in America. I'm watching the Olympic Games. There's some people that are getting paid to take dives. In North America, we incentivize people to succeed. So the contract is set up that way. It makes perfect sense. But what do you do in the event that it went the wrong way blatantly? And I don't just mean from an ethical standpoint, because you might want to consider ethically what should happen, right? You're looking at a pie. But you also want to speak from a legal standpoint. Who's going to enforce that? And that's where the problem comes. Nobody. The legal enforcement is that of which turns to the judges, and we live with that result. So see where this becomes a problem? Because I'm with Francis on this. Like, my heart really feels for people that had one taken from them. And Francis even went on to talk about, now the guy's got to go home. He's heartbroken. He's frustrated. He's waiting for a turnaround, which he doesn't know what it's going to be. Oh, and by the way, his pocketbook's a little light. Francis is right, for sure. But now that we've identified something that we feel is a problem, we must be able to offer a solution. And the solution simply can't be that popular opinion is going to rule and that the company is going to have to write a second check. First off, that's wrong. Second off, that's not going to happen. It's silly. But third off, that could not be legally enforced. And these fights are just that. They're legal. It's very important that you know that the government is regulating them with a predetermined set of rules and remedies. And one of the remedies, if you go to the time limit, is you turn to the licensed judges. And I've always been curious. I'd love to hear, if I was talking to Francis right now, I would love to ask him this question, which is, champ, are you more frustrated that the person is not getting the money that the masses believe they should have earned? Or are you more frustrated that when the judges continue to turn something in that baffles us, that there is no remedy or disciplinary action taken against them? Because that's where I continue to find myself. I don't have a problem with bad judging. I've done some refereeing before. I've never done some judging. I've done refereeing before. I will tell you, there are matches that I got wrong, where I'll look back on, you know what, that should have been 3, and I only called it 1, and it changed the outcome. I mean, I will just share with you that I don't really pick on the judges. Like, there's human error and there's mistakes that are made. That's life. It's a lot like the chains in football. It's not a perfect science, but at least in theory, over the course of a career, what goes around comes around. And for the most part, it's true. You get one taken from you, but you got a freebie over here. It's one of those deals. There is a level of frustration that you would have a commission who is licensing athletes and cornermen. And if they do anything wrong, they will take money from them. They will take a license from them. They will embarrass them. They never, ever do it with their own. And that's where you start to look at it, and it appears corrupt. It appears as a good old boy system where the commission and the referees and the judges are over here, and the fighters and cornermen over here, and then the promoter sits on another island. And I think that is how absolutely every commission views it. But that's not what the bylaws say. The commission sits here, and everybody else equally is underneath and has to answer. It just seems as though the commission will never sanction a judge. And the sanctioning doesn't have to be extreme. We're not talking about bringing somebody in and embarrassing. We're not talking about a court trial here. We're talking about you've got 3 wrong. You're going to sit this one out. You're not getting another main event. You need to come in and explain to us how you're seeing this. I will tell you, in the sport of amateur wrestling, that's the way it is right now. Amateur. These guys aren't paid. These guys aren't having their name announced on TV. These guys aren't getting to some great event dressed in a suit sitting ringside. They're amateur. It's volunteer, and they are still overseen. Here's how it works. Very similar to the judges in MMA. There are 3 referees. One's called the ref, one's called the mat chair. You've got the third person, but they will keep stats. The sport of wrestling will keep stats over not only a year, but over a quad, which makes 4 years for the Olympic Games. So imagine there's 3 people. If the referee calls for a point and the chair and the mat official both call for 2 points, now that referee just got overridden. And the sport of wrestling will view that because it was 2-1, they were right. Whether you love that system or not, that will affect the score of the referee who continues to not agree with what the other licensed officials have. And it's one of these things that you might want to pay attention to. We are consistently having judges who are not only going against the audience, they're not only going against the participants, they're not only going against the sport, they're going against fellow licensed judges. It's food for thought. This is not a finished idea by me. I'm a little bit clumsy, right? I've got some of the pieces, but you don't always want to just do majority rule, right? The one guy that didn't have what the other guy said could be the guy that's right. But in anywhere in life, you would come in and you would explain yourself. Why did you have it this way? Why did you guys have it a different way? And if they are grossly adverse, there would be a conversation. There would be something that happens, not just the reassignment. And it's a very big deal. And as much as the commission wants to just dismiss it and go, well, it's just a fight, doesn't matter anyway. It's those guys' lives. But moreover, they're being gamed on. So when I tell you that this is a legal perspective and a legal question, and these outcomes are legally binding, there's consequences to it, and there's a reason. There's a built-in incentive to have integrity within the scoring.